Hello there, everyone. This is Miriam, holistic life coach and mind-body practitioner at Pain Outside the Box. And today I'm going to attempt to answer a question that I tend to get very often. And that relates to whether a specific condition that someone has been diagnosed with can be TMS, tension myoneural syndrome, or mind-body syndrome. So basically, people ask me whether their condition that a doctor has diagnosed them with can be treated as TMS or as a psychosomatic condition. So first of all, I have to say that as a coach, I can never diagnose someone with TMS. A therapist can't diagnose someone with TMS either. And most doctors out there don't know about TMS, so they cannot diagnose you with TMS either. So the only people who can give you an official TMS diagnosis are doctors who are aware of TMS or mind-body syndrome, which are quite few and sparse. So I know that a lot of people come to the conclusion that their symptoms are TMS by having a good look at their symptoms, how they manifested, and by actually making a case for themselves and also by exclusion of other conditions that may be causing their pain. So usually people who ask me whether their condition, whether it's fibromyalgia or a herniated disc or nerve pain, can be TMS, these are the people who are trying to rule out a physical cause to their pain. So first of all, I'd like to get started by saying that it doesn't make sense for someone to ask me whether a herniated disc is TMS. So, and this applies to any other structural condition that might have been found in your body through MRI, right? So basically, as people try to find a cause for their pain, they might get diagnosed with a herniated disc, some muscle imbalance, scoliosis, all sorts of abnormalities in the body involving the bones or ligaments, right? So you cannot actually ask whether this structural abnormality is TMS. Why? Because a herniated disc is a herniated disc, and TMS is something else. TMS is pain that's being caused by your emotional experience, by conditioning, and the way that the brain is actually perceiving painful sensations. So TMS is a mind-body problem. A herniated disc is obvious on MRI, it's a herniated disc. So the question you should actually be asking is, can I address the pain that has been blamed on a herniated disc as TMS? Now that makes sense. Why? Because there are a lot of structural abnormalities and imbalances in the body that are blamed for causing someone's pain, when in reality they are wrongly blamed for causing this pain. Because if you have a really good look at the way that symptoms manifest, at the inconsistency of symptoms, at their location, then it wouldn't make sense to actually blame that pain on these structural conditions, right? So this is actually what you have to be looking at. So whether your pain has been blamed on, a herniated disc anywhere in the body, a past injury, or any condition, especially a condition that is visible in the body through MRI or X-ray, also such as arthritis, for example, what you need to be asking isn't, is arthritis TMS? Arthritis is arthritis. It's always going to be there probably, right? So it's going to be visible. But your question should be, is this pain, especially if it's so intense, maybe it comes on and off, and maybe you feel it everywhere in the body, is this pain due to my arthritis, or is it TMS? Because in a lot of chronic pain cases, people would come eventually to the conclusion that their pain is really has nothing to do with their structural condition at all. I mean, I was diagnosed with a flat foot at one point, and the physio blamed it for my sciatica pain. But I realized that it didn't make sense because I'd always had a flat foot, and I always will have a flat foot. And the pain is not there anymore. So this is really what you need to be asking, right? And Sarno, Dr. John Sarno, has a lot to say about this in his book, Healing Back Pain, and also in the MindBody prescription. So he lists a number of structural conditions that are wrongly blamed for causing intense chronic pain, and which in reality are just incidental. They're just conditions that have been found through various tests, and they have been blamed for causing pain, but wrongly so. Okay, because TMS is actually generated in the mind and then experienced in the body. It's a mind-body process, and it has nothing to do with these structural conditions, which, by the way, all of us have abnormalities in the body, and most adults have a herniated disc somewhere, right? So this is what you need to be figuring out, really. The second set of conditions that people ask me about are conditions that are diagnosed on the basis of symptoms, but which have no physical manifestation. So these are conditions like fibromyalgia, for example, like chronic fatigue syndrome, conditions like nerve pain, small fiber neuropathy, and all sorts of stuff, really. Also conditions like RSIs that are blamed on repetitive stress, like typing or sitting. So basically, such people are usually diagnosed and given this diagnosis based on the symptoms that they are feeling, and not based on any medical tests, right? So for instance, most tests come out clear in people with fibromyalgia. There is nothing structural that can be blamed for causing their pain. So the diagnosis of fibromyalgia is given based on the location of symptoms, the manifestation of symptoms, how long a person has had these symptoms, okay, and stuff like that. So these conditions are even more straightforward, because there is nothing, to blame the pain on. There is nothing structural that would be causing confusion. But what the person would need to do is definitely exclude anything structural, of course, anything that requires urgent medical attention. And then the person would need to realize that maybe these symptoms, they should not be called by this label after all. They should not be called fibromyalgia. They should not be called chronic fatigue. They are just symptoms, right? The diagnosis is not based on any other basis except on the way that symptoms manifest. If this type of pain has been diagnosed based on what you told the doctor and based on the ways that symptoms manifest, and not based on a test that actually finds something specific in the body that, that leads to this diagnosis, then this label may be not needed at all, right? Because this label is just there now in your mind, making you believe that you have a condition that you cannot change or cure. So this is why, personally, I believe that certain labels are very dangerous, especially when there is no physical basis for them. So just to repeat, you cannot ask whether a herniated disc is TMS. A herniated disc is a herniated disc. TMS is a mind-body condition, but your pain that might have been blamed on a herniated disc could simply be TMS and could have nothing to do with the herniated disc, especially if this disc has been herniated a long time ago and it's just a scar, kind of. It's just something, something abnormal in the body that isn't causing pain. When it comes to other conditions, I would say just be really wary what kind of labels people throw at you and what kind of labels you identify with, especially if you've been diagnosed with these conditions simply based on what you've told the doctor about your symptoms, right? Because it's easy for someone to go to the doctor telling them that, you have elbow pain and wrist pain, and then the doctor asks you maybe whether you spend a long time typing, and you would say yes, and you would start thinking that it's the typing causing this kind of pain. The doctor might easily tell you, oh, yes, it's true, it's the typing, and might easily diagnose you with an RSI, with a repetitive stress injury. But really, what are you going to believe now? Are you going to be stuck believing that typing will always hurt? Does it really make sense? So this is where, the tricky bit comes in, and this is where you have to ultimately decide whether to go for the TMS approach or not, right? Because there's a huge difference between feeling uncomfortable, for example, feeling uncomfortable on a chair at work or getting tired while typing. I mean, yes, there are some positions that are uncomfortable, but there's a great difference between discomfort and intense chronic pain, okay? Sometimes that comes and goes, that manifests on different parts of the body, okay? These are giveaways for TMS, and this is why everyone needs to do some degree of detective work, especially given that we don't have too many doctors who are able to diagnose someone with TMS. All I can say is the recommendation I give to people who have been searching for a cause to their symptoms and who have been considering the TMS approach is, if you haven't been given any effective treatment for your symptoms so far, it really wouldn't hurt if you tried the TMS approach. If you just assumed for a period of time that your condition is a mind-body condition and tried the different techniques and tools that can help people with TMS recover fully. Okay, so at a certain point, you have to allow the possibility that your condition is a mind-body condition. You have to let go of labels and diagnoses that keep you stuck in doubt, okay, that make you feel that you have no control over your body. And you have to basically go for it. Of course, if you've been given a treatment that fully works and you're happy with that, yes, you might not need, TMS work, or maybe you really had a physical condition that can be treated in some other way. But do yourself just one favor. Don't go round and round trying to find all sorts of physical causes when you've already visited a number of specialists. Don't ping pong from trying to address your symptoms as TMS and then reverting back to doubting and thinking that you might have a fixed condition. This mindset really doesn't help, and it's what keeps a lot of people stuck with chronic pain. So don't give your power away to a diagnosis. Don't give your power away to a condition. Give this a try. That's all from me for today. Wishing you all the best. Bye-bye.